Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you that are new to my channel, I want to say welcome. And for all of my OGs, welcome back. My name is Crystal and you're watching Fashion, Beauty, and Wine. So in today's video, I'm going to be chit-chatting about this delicious Pinot Noir that I'm drinking, as well as telling you about the worst date that I've ever been on. So if you want to know all about these things, stick around and keep watching the rest of the video.
So the Pinot Noir that I chose today is a super relatable Pinot Noir. It's super affordable and it is produced in California. Unfortunately, there is no vintage year and it's about 12.5% alcohol. Now this is a medium body Pinot Noir. It is going to be on the drier side, but there is still a lot of juicy, dark raspberry notes to be found in this grape. Now this pairs well with anything and it complements and enhances and leaves you with a perfect note. Now, this wine is advertised that it stays fresh for up to 30 days, and I absolutely believe that. I drank this wine over a week's time. I didn't pump it, and it still tastes the same way that it tastes from the first day that I opened it. I highly recommend buying this wine if you're interested in drinking on a budget. It's absolutely delicious, and I can't say enough good things about it.
So I'm not a person that has gone on a lot of dates in my past, and you know, either that's a good thing or a bad thing, but for the most parts, you know, the dates that I have gone on have been nice. But then there are some that are not so nice, and I do have a date that probably won't rank as the worst date ever, but for me, it's the worst date ever. So I met this guy off Tinder, and so we had chatted for about a week, 2 weeks or so, and finally he was just like, you know, I want to take you out. I think you're a nice girl. I'd love to meet you, to get to know who you are. You have an awesome personality. It's like, likewise. So the first date that he had planned, which was kind of weird, like he was adamant about going to get coffee. Now, I'm very old school. I'm used to, you know, going out to dinner on the first date, going for some type of extracurricular activity, or just doing something a little bit more than perhaps drinking coffee or drinking tea on the first date. And you know what? It's a whole new world, and I am learning, and it's okay. So on the first date, this guy invited me to a coffee shop, which was near my home. First, he wanted to come and pick me up. And I, you know, on the first date, that's not happening. And so I had suggested me meeting him at a local coffee shop around my house. It wasn't extremely close, as in walking distance, but it was close enough, but then far enough away from my house where he couldn't figure out where I live at, just in case he turned out to be a psycho killer. It was a cold day. I wanted to kill two birds with a stone, so I decided, why not bring my dogs, just in case. So the first day that I went on with him was to Caribou Coffee, and I brought my two dogs. Now, it was an extremely cold day, but still, I dressed presentable. After being outside for about 15-20 minutes, it got cold. Initially, when I see him, I'm just like, this guy does not look like the guy in the pictures. But you know what? I'm not gonna be mean. Let's just get to know him and then see where it goes from here. Like, what the hell? This guy may have the best personality. Never know. So let's get to know him. So we talk. To tell you the truth, the whole time talking to him, it was extremely uncomfortable because it was so cold outside. And then on top of that, like, my dogs were running around and then they were like going crazy, and it was just very, very uncomfortable. Nevertheless, we probably talked for about 30 minutes until I was just like, I can't take it anymore. Let's schedule another date. We can hang out again where I won't bring the dogs. I'm feeling comfortable enough to meet you. And we can go to some spot and go to a lounge or something. So on the day that he planned the second date, I was actually working. And we had planned it for a certain time, but I didn't get out of work until a couple of hours later. And so this guy was like kind of impatient. He really, really wanted to see me. So I allowed him to come and pick me up from work. I had him come and pick me up down the street and then I kind of like walked to his car because, again, I didn't really want him to know too many things about myself. He ended up taking me to a lounge or like a bar. It was extremely loud. And I just knew at the beginning of the day, like, I'm kind of not even really feeling this guy. I ended up ordering a drink, which I didn't drink at all. And he drank the rest of my drink. And I kind of didn't like that. Like, I was just like, you know, we're trying to get to know each other. And like, you should be on your best home training. And part of being on your best home training is not acting like you're either cheap or you want to reserve every last bit of alcohol, I guess. We, very shortly after that, ended the day. I allowed him to take me home, but I ended up having him drop me off at the end of my street. Fast forward, third date, he invited me out. He asked me if I wanted to go to the movies. Now, this is a no-no. If I don't know you, even if we've been on a couple of dates, inviting me to go to the movies is a no-no. First of all, you cannot talk. You cannot get to know each other. And for me, it just seems like a make-out session. It seems like this is something that a 13-year-old might do if they want to get to know a person and they want to make out. And at that point, I did not feel like I was at that point with this fellow. I told him, you know, and I was very nice about it. I was like, you know, I don't think it's appropriate to plan a movie date. It's just something that I would rather save for another time down the line when we know each other a little better. I don't see going to the movies as being a time where we can get to know each other. I just feel like me as a woman, what I expect from a man is a lot different than what you're offering me at this time. So and he was just like, you know, the reason why I didn't invite you on a date to the movies is because, you know, I just moved back to America from Australia and I don't have money. And so, you know, I was just trying to save money because the holidays are coming. And in my mind, I was thinking like, oh my God, this is just a big no-no. Like, a man should never tell a woman how he's doing financially, especially if I don't know this guy, especially if he doesn't know me. And so like, that made me so embarrassed for him that after he finished talking, I was just like, you know what? I understand where you're coming from, and I understand how hard times can be hard, especially since you're coming from another country. That's why I feel like it would probably be best that, you know, maybe we take some time from seeing each other. Maybe we can meet up down the line or whatever. But, you know, at this time, it may not be the best time for us to date. And so then he was just like, oh no, that's not what I was expecting. Like, I'm super sorry. You know, I want to get to know you. I think you're an awesome person. And, you know, I'm really sorry about that. Like, I didn't mean to make you feel like you were not worth it and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, you know what? No, that's okay. I completely understand where you're coming from. I just think it's best that, you know, you take a little time to focus on yourself before you start dating, since you're new back into the country. I ended up talking to my assistant about it and asking her if I was wrong about this. And she told me, no, you're okay. You know, I don't think he's at the right time. And honestly, you are saving him from heartache in the future. Like, I think it's just a lesson learned. Anyway, this guy ended up calling me later that day, and he, you know, apologized and said that he really wanted to make it up to me and that he can manage to squeeze it in his budget to take me out to dinner. And I asked him, how should I dress? Should I dress sporty? Should I dress funky? Should I dress extremely nice? How should I dress? Like, you tell me. And I felt really bad to turn him down because he was just really begging me, so I agreed to do it. He told me to dress really, really nice because he had something extremely special planned for him. Later that night, I allowed him to come and pick me up, but I allowed him to come and pick me up in my showroom. When he arrived, such a gentleman, he ended up giving me a bouquet of red roses. And so I was like, oh, well, I guess this date is starting off on a good foot or whatever. And so we ended up going to the place, and you know, conversation was great in the car, but we pull up to a bar. Like, and not only was it a hole in the wall bar, but like, I think the most upscale thing that this bar served was like burger and fries. And I was so disappointed because he had told me to get dressed extremely nice. He had said he would make it up to me, which I didn't care about him not making it up to me. But my whole thing was, why would you tell me to get dressed up really nice when you just brought me to a hole in the wall? We ended up going inside, and the whole time I'm thinking, I cannot wait until this date is over with. Like, this is going to be the last time I see this guy. I really want to just walk out the date, but I don't want to be rude. I mean, I was going back and forth. Server came over to the table. We ordered. I ended up ordering whatever was on the menu. I think like a salad or something. And so he ended up ordering like a burger and fries or whatever. And honestly, like, we were sitting at a booth, and right in front of the booth was a huge TV, and where people were just like watching sports. They were screaming, they were going nuts, and I was just like so uncomfortable. Fast forward, I am finishing my food. I honestly did not even want to eat everything. And once again, this guy is like, I'll finish your plate. And I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, he has no more chances. Like, this is just done. Server come over to the table and he asks, can he take his plate? This guy gets mad at the server and yells at him, says, it's very rude for you to take my plate when the woman is still eating. Mind you, he was eating my food, but he wouldn't let the server take the other plate that was empty. Finally, it's time to pay or whatever, and he ended up paying the server. And I hate to say this, but if you're a bad tipper, like, I'm losing respect for you. That's just me. That's just the way I feel. I've been in the service industry forever, and so I understand how it is and how it feels to live on tips. So he ended up paying the bill, and he left an extremely horrible tip. I think it was like a 5% tip. And so at this point, I had it up to here. I asked him to go and take the car, to bring the car around. And at that time, when he went to go and get the car, I went and grabbed some money out the ATM and just left an extra tip on the table because I felt like the server was super, super nice. Anyway, he takes me home. I have him drop me off at the end of the street. And at this point in time, I don't know whether he thought that I was feeling him or he had done something so well and he was proud of himself. But he looked at me and he said, before you leave, I have something special for you. And when he said that, I knew he was going to try to lean in for a kiss. He grabbed my face and tried to lean into it for a kiss. And I told him, no. Like, no, I'm sorry, but like, no, I'm not giving you a kiss. And he felt so bad and it was so awkward. I literally just gave him my hand and said, you know what? It was a great date, but I need to leave. Like, I have my dogs. I need to go and walk them. I need to leave. He ended up sitting there for a while. I guess he was trying to figure out where I lived or whatever, but I ended up just standing there to make sure that he had left before he can see me get into my apartment. And that was literally the last time that I saw that guy. I think he like texted me 1 or 2 more times, but I never responded. I didn't want to really deal with him any further after that. Like, at the end of the day, he was a nice person, but he had done so many things that just rubbed me the wrong way. And I was just super excited that I had not, you know, just accepted it and gone further with him, because a couple of dates later, I ended up meeting my husband. And when I tell you that he had done all of the right things to woo me and to prove to me what type of man he was, I was just super excited that I had not just settled. I'm just gonna let you know that, you know, whether I sound vain, whether I sound arrogant or conceited, or I sound relatable, these are standards that I have, and they're standards that I've gotten because of experience. And honestly, I was not going to sway from my standards, whether it was little or small, because waiting and continuing to date will eventually lead you to the person that is meant for you. So I guess the moral of my story is that whatever standards that you have, whether they're what society deemed to be high standards, low standards, whatever, stick with your standards. You'll end up finding the right guy in the future. And so, you know, I was happy that I stuck to my standards and, you know, I did what I did because, like I said, I ended up meeting my husband and I could not be happier. So with that being said, I hope that you found this video informative, entertaining, or whatever. If you have, don't forget to press that little thumbs up button. For those of you that are new to this channel and you're not subscribed, take a little moment and press this subscribe button. I am also on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, all under the keywords fashion, beauty, and wine. In the spirit of Crystal T, I wish you all nothing but peace, love, fashion, beauty, and wine. Bye-bye.
I love you, baby.
Oh, I love you too. What did you say?
I love you, baby.
Oh, I love you too. I'm putting that in the video.